All right, so let's talk about recruiting real estate agents to your team or your brokerage. And so I'm not going to rush through this conversation because I want you to get a tangible takeaway. I've been talking a lot with the people that I'm coaching right now that have mid to large size teams, anywhere from 10, 20, 30 agents on their team, or they have a brokerage with about that many agents. And I think one of the common things that keep coming up is the leader understands the culture that they want to build, or at least the ones that we talk about building, which is this culture of high productivity, of high standards, a standard of excellence, building a team or a company where people come to create the best versions of themselves. And that alone requires a couple things that we're going to talk about in today's video. That is the value proposition. That is what makes you as a team leader or a broker owner different in the marketplace from every other team or broker in the market. Why? Well, let's just be honest, right? Don't get mad at me. The reality is this, that most teams and most brokerages are run the exact opposite. The model is recruit anybody who has a what? A pulse. Just get the numbers in. Just recruit as many people as possible. Let the chips fall where they may. And we know the numbers. We know it's the 80-20 principle. We know 80% aren't going to make it. We'll get rid of them. And we know that 20% will be who we're looking for. And so let's just hire as many people as possible and let's get our winners through that model. Okay, fine. What we're talking about is something different. What we're talking about is, because the problem that we're looking to solve is this. So team leader A, and this is the conversation I'm having with these team leaders that I'm coaching all the time, is my agents don't produce at the level they say they want to produce. And my challenge for any team leader that might be watching this or listening to this message is this question. What is your responsibility in that? What's your responsibility in that person's performance on your team? And here's what I mean. I believe that a team is a spitting image of its leader. Now, yes, I understand from time to time we hire a bad apple and we hire the wrong people. We've got to get rid of those people. They're a plague. Maybe they're a vampire sucking the life out of the team. Fine. But I'm talking about, what is the responsibility we have as a leader to help the person become the best version of themselves? To me, I believe that is what leadership is. That we're not recruiting agents and competing to persuade and convince agents to come into our brokerages, to come into our on our team because of, well, our commission split is better. We give you more tools, we give you more resources, we give you more leads, we give you this, and this. You see, I think a lot of people believe that is how you persuade or convince or you recruit agents to come to your company, because you're saying, well, look at all this value I'm going to give you, Mr. Agent. Well, the problem with that is this, and most of you that have teams will say, yep, that is exactly what's happening. And that is this. That entire approach that I just outlined is what we would call a recruiting approach around you, the team leader, carrying the burden of value. Meaning you're carrying the person's results. So when you recruit me on all your bells and whistles, all of your features and all of your benefits, well, I'm going to respond to that and say, okay, so I'm going to come here and you are going to make me successful. Your tools, your resources, your leads. We handicap, we paralyze that agent, and you put a lot on your shoulders to be the reason why they win or they don't win, which opens this up to say, well, you told me I was going to get all this stuff. You told me this, you told me that. Remember the full court press you put on me to come to the team? You took me out to the nice dinners. You took me to the golf outings. You took me to the professional sporting team's game. Remember all that? And you made all these big promises. When we do that, when we're on the side of convincing, then we create this culture of takers. We create a culture of victims. We create a culture where, my success is on your shoulders, Mr. Leader, Mr. Broker. It is on you. And so what is the alternative? When I talk about the way in which we need to show up as a leader to help one succeed and become the best version of themselves, it's around character traits. So hear me out on this. Rather than recruiting agents on features and benefits and this many leads and that many leads, and we're going to do this and that, remove that for a second. I want you to think about the type of person that succeeds at the highest level in any area of life, and you'll come back down to it's because of their character traits. Now, when you talk about building a team of winners, what do those people want to be part of? They want to be surrounded by the opposite of what most teams and brokerages have. They want to be surrounded by high levels of accountability. They want to be surrounded with high levels of visibility. These winners, people that have that are going to win, want to be pushed. They want to be stretched. They want to be challenged. Why? This is how we build and create our best versions of ourselves. And when we recruit, not on character traits, but when we recruit on features and benefits, we attract the wrong person. And then as leaders, we're sitting there saying, well, what am I doing wrong? I'm giving this person all that they need to succeed, yet they're not succeeding. Right. Because you're recruiting to things that don't cause people to succeed. It's all character traits. And it doesn't matter about which features, benefits, lead tactics, strategies. None of that matters because there are people succeeding in every tactic or strategy. What it comes down to is character traits. So what do we want to do? We want to do something that I call anti-recruiting. We want to, in a conversation when we're recruiting agents, this is how you're going to attract top talent. Is when you probably do the opposite of what you're doing right now. Again, we call it anti-recruiting. Here's what I mean. I want you to think about this for a second. If you start explaining a culture to a person, a culture of winning to somebody who is a victim, they will not want any part of it and they will opt out themselves. Let me give you an example. So if you're having a conversation with an agent who you're interested in bringing in the team, instead of being the one convincing them on, hey, here's all the things that we have to offer you. We've got this, and you're like every other mule just promising them the world. Get out of that for a second and say, listen, our team is not for most. And let me explain to you why. You see, people come to our team for one reason and one reason only. And that is to become the best version of themselves. And here's what that means. In order to create greatness in our lives, the people on our team come to this company for something that they cannot find in the real estate industry anywhere else, which is high levels of accountability. You see, our team treats this like a full-time career. And we know that most people in real estate got into this business for the opposite reason. They wanted to have all the freedom, come and go as they please. That's not who we are. Our people come in early and they stay late and they want to be held accountable to a standard. because they're looking for excellence. They're not looking to be mediocre. Our team, people come to this team because they want high levels of visibility, meaning they know and they understand and they accept and they embrace the fact that as human beings, when we are under the microscope, we perform better. Well, it's the opposite of what we see in the real estate industry. Most agents don't want any type of visibility. They don't want people listening to their calls. They don't want people, holding them accountable to certain activities throughout the day. They don't want to, they want to do their own thing on their own terms by themselves. They don't want to be exposed. And that's perfectly fine. That's why I say our team is not for most. The people that come to this team have the highest ambition. They're looking to become part of the 1%. And in order to be part of that 1%, as you already know, requires a massive commitment to learning, executing on the fundamental skills that it requires in this business of sales. And so as you start to get into this type of conversation with people, what are you doing? You're doing the opposite of convincing. I am trying to talk this person out of coming to the team. I am trying to scare this person away. I am trying to do everything in my power for this person to identify themselves as a victim, to say, this ain't the place for me. So much so that I will even say this. I will say, listen, we don't know if this team is for you or not. We don't know if you can compete at the level we have all of our team members compete. Only time will tell, but I know this, that our team is really, really good at exposing victim mentalities. Our culture is really good at identifying and spitting out people that just can't play at the top level. And you'll find out really quick. You'll find out probably within the first 30 days if you're in the right spot or not. And so I'm telling the person all of this. Again, I want the person to self-identify and say, you know what? Yeah, I loved our conversation. This isn't for me. Because isn't that what you want anyway as a team leader, to find out now before you invest all this time, energy, and effort into cultivating somebody that they're not the right person, A, and then B, what if somebody says, this is exactly the place for me? You see, by anti-recruiting, you attract your tribe. You attract the type of person who thrives in an atmosphere like I've outlined in this video. You attract the person, you actually become more appealing to the winners. And you create a world that repels victims. You see, the people that just want to come and do their own thing and they don't want accountability, they don't take this seriously, it repels those people. And you create this brand in the marketplace where it's like, oh yeah, dude, that place is like the Navy SEALs, man. That place is for the elite. And so it scares off all the other people that you don't want in that culture anyways, and it attracts the people to say, well, if that's where the winners win, that's where I'm going. And you create this world where it's people, where it takes a special person to get on your team. And that's how you want it. You want to play at the highest level, which is what all of you tell me that are running these teams and these companies. You want to be as successful as possible. Well, what's different about what we do than running a championship basketball team? Why would we run those two things differently? Because that's what I see. I see team leaders and brokers saying, I want an elite organization. I want to win at the highest level. But at the same point in time, that person refuses to hold their people accountable. Well, Brandon, I'm not going to hold them accountable because then they'll just leave me. Right, because we're bringing people into the culture the wrong way from day one, because you are recruiting to features and benefits. You're recruiting to a world where you make all these promises and you carry the burden of value, rather than recruiting to character traits, rather than recruiting to a culture of excellence where you're setting proper expectations up front, where you're trying to talk people out of coming, and only those people that say, no, 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 this is the place for me. Like your team, I do also value accountability. I do value high levels of visibility. I do value stretching and getting outside of my comfort zone. That sounds like the perfect place for me. And now people come into your team with an entire new expectation, with an entire new outlook on what this business is and what this business is not.